Hi, my name's Leah Jayne and I'm a figurative artist from Manchester. My art journey would probably start when I went to college and I did a art and design course. Growing up I was always drawing portraits, but obviously going to college kind of opened new doors. I got introduced to life drawing and printmaking and conceptual studies, and I kind of feel like it built the foundation of my work, especially life drawing and conceptual studies, because I loved like looking at a piece of work, like an old Renaissance painting of a ship, and it'd be like, what does the ship mean other than it being a ship? What else could it symbolise? And I was really big on that. And then with life drawing, it was kind of a challenge because I had to do, my comfort thing was portraits. So to have to draw somebody and the whole body and in different poses, it was a bit of a challenge, and I kind of got really into it. And yeah, so from college, I was set on my artwork being conceptual, figurative, and probably always dark and moody, because again, I was really into like the Renaissance and Baroque kind of artwork. Towards the end of the course, I'd done a few installation pieces, and I was kind of set on space and how space can affect how people interact with art and how they see art and how you can present it in different ways. And I got into curating, so I applied at uni to do fine art and curating, and I got on to the course. Didn't show up. I was like, I'll find my own way. Like, I didn't feel uni was for me, so I did a very short-lived podcast where I'd just show up to other artists or independent gallery owners, and I'd interview them about how they got into it and what they've learned, kind of for selfish reasons, so I could learn from them, but also to create content that I'd post on YouTube. So I did that for a little while. I met a bunch of cool people, different artists as well. I think like it's always good to meet other artists who do different things than you, because it kind of inspires you as well sometimes, or you can collaborate. So I met a bunch of people, did some live art events where I'd paint with a bunch of other artists, especially one at Hatch in Manchester. We did 2 events there. And then I managed to volunteer at my local gallery doing curation for a few of their exhibitions. So I made my own way around it. And when I'd done that and I learned a bit more about different things and different art and like how people make their own way and stuff like that, I was like, okay, now I'm ready to settle down and work on my own work. And I got an art studio and decided that I want to focus on my art. In terms of like the themes of my art, I wouldn't say it's anything big and worldly, as in I would never paint or make art about politics or like rights or anything like legal or even like climate matters or anything like that, because I feel like my art is kind of an extension of emotion and movement rather than a big political statement or anything like that. I wouldn't say like there's anything standoutish about my work. Like, yeah, I'm not Banksy. My biggest influences, number 1 would be Jenny Saville. I learnt about her in school. I think everyone learns about her in school, but I love how for one, I love the scale of her work that she does, and 2, I loved how she made like quote unquote unpretty people like pretty, or she took like a feature about them and made it like the center of the painting, and she made just amazing what she does. I really liked as well how she would do like, what is it, action research, where she'd go out, interview the person, the model, get to know them, like spend time with them as she painted them, kind of thing. I really liked that. So I'm inspired by how she does the work, and then also like her techniques, her scale, her actual like, more recently she does a lot of themes about like motherhood and stuff, and I really like that. And she's changed her style to be a little bit more abstract, and again, I kind of like that. I like how she moves between styles. So yeah, she'll always like influence me. And then the other one would be like Ellie Smallwood. She's an artist I found on Instagram a few years back. She's a figurative artist as well. I just love her style and like the colour palette that she uses. She also uses acrylic, which is the same medium I use in work, and I love how like the effect she gets with the paint. Yeah. So I learned also, I'm a very visual learner, so I learnt a lot by watching some of her little clips on Instagram of blending and like line work, stuff like that. So yeah, I think they're my big two influences. Right now, funnily enough, I'm focusing in on pottery and learning pottery. I'd say like I'm big on painting, but I tend to sometimes get bored of it. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm trying to focus on other mediums, but keeping painting as an undertone, but using different things, not just using canvas. So my goal is I'm going to focus on pottery, and then I'm going to make like these ceramics and stuff with figurative work on it. I'm focusing on that. I'm also trying to focus on keeping a sketchbook and get back into drawing again. The past year, I kind of stepped away from art. I had a really bad burnout, not just from art, but from like life. I mean, I feel like most people have the past 2 years, but I stepped back. Haven't really created in a while. So right now I'm focusing on trying to make my art fun again, and trying to, I can never force work, so it's trying to like find something I want to say within my work, like emotional, like what I want to express. Yeah. The biggest challenge for me being an artist would be self-doubt, because I'll make work and I'm big on feedback. So if I don't get a lot of feedback about work, or people saying just opinions on my work, then it's like, should I really be making art? And it's so like sad to think that way, but I really enjoy having feedback of people and like opinions, and I like people's reactions to the work. I feel like that's always been a theme though, like when I wanted to do curating and like when I do my podcast, I always like people's opinions and reactions of things. So sometimes when I'm making art, I'm thinking, how would people receive this? Or like, would they at all? And self-doubt sometimes puts me off. Or I think I can't make it too personal because then people won't get it, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I guess the biggest challenge is being your own inner critic before you've made the work and allowed people to actually see it. I feel like sometimes it's easy to censor yourself a lot with art, or to be like, I can't share that, or something like that. I guess self-doubt and being my own critic before I've actually made the work would be the biggest challenge. I tell my younger self that your art it will never be one thing. It will never just be portraits forever. You will get bored at some point and you have to keep trying new things to make it fun. If it's your passion, which I know it is your passion, then it will always be there. And another thing is, if you don't make it your whole life, that's not a bad thing. If it isn't like your legacy as an artist, because young me was like, I'm going to be some big artist, you know? So it's not going to be that, but you'll enjoy it, and the people who see your work will value it, and just have fun. Like, stop being as like black and white with it. I think the only unconventional medium or technique I've tried would be painting on denim with fabric paint, trying to do paint on that. I mean, it's not very unconventional, but it was different and I didn't like it. So yeah, it was a bit, I wouldn't say unconventional is the word, but it was very like, it was different and a bit of a pain. So that was the most like explorative thing I've done, painting on denim with fabric paint. When I paint, I have like any kind of music on. It's usually, and this sounds, wait, I'll wait for this car to go past. Let me start that again. Okay, right. So when I'm making art, like, the music that I have on is usually like R&B. I want to say R&B are like one of my like favourite bands. They're called Holding Absence, and it can't just be any kind of music like background noise. It has to be like certain music to get me in the, what do they call it, like flow state. Like if I'm painting and I've got a song on in the background that doesn't, like, I don't like, it distracts me from the work. So I listen to like very like old school R&B nostalgic stuff where I can just like, it'll be on in the background and it won't disrupt me from focusing, and I'll actually listen to it. Or sometimes I have, this sounds very random, I have tarot readings like on YouTube, people who do readings on YouTube. I'll put those on in the background. Like I'll look for my star sign and I'll put it on the background, and I'll have a little reading just playing in the background as I'm making work. That people always say that's weird, but it is what it is. The best reaction to my work was, I had a piece that was part of like my college coursework, and at the time my mum had her own shop, and I had this piece on display in the shop, not to sell, just for like my mum, because she really liked it. She was like, oh, like I'll put it up, like, so yeah, it was up in the shop, and a couple walked in. As soon as they come through the door, they was like, is that for sale? Can we buy it? I'll give you $1,000 right now. This painting is not worth $1,000. I was just like, no. And they was like really shocked, and I was like, it's kind of sentimental, but thank you anyway. So I think that was like the most shocking and like standout reaction I've had so far about my work, is somebody seeing it and being like, I'll just give you $1,000 right now. Me being like, no, it's fine. Yeah, it was a weird moment. I hope when people see my work, they that they kind of feel some, what is the word? I wouldn't say resemblance, but I don't think resemblance is the right word. Like they can relate, like they'll see a painting. I've got a piece called Carrie, and it's a man and a woman, and the man's carrying the woman and she's kind of like bent backwards, and it's kind of, to me, symbolic of someone like picking you up and helping you up from like falling. Yeah. It's like when you're going through something hard and then you have some support, somebody there to help you pick you up. So I want somebody to like look at that and see that and be like, I can see that situation in my own life. That's ideally what I want people to take from my work. Also, I want them to notice a detail I put into it. But that's just a side thing. If they never notice a detail, if you just notice the emotion, that's good enough. So at the moment, I don't have any upcoming events or any like exhibitions or anything. I'm just literally focusing on new work, like new mediums pottery, so I'll be posting a lot of that on my Instagram. And yeah, just kind of enjoy my practice more. But if anybody wants to follow me, my Instagram is Leah Jayne _art. It's Leah Jayne Art on Facebook, but nobody really uses Facebook anymore, right? It's just Instagram, so we'll just say Instagram. But yeah, thank you for asking me to be part of this. I am grateful.